Yo guys, welcome back to Zion Radio GH, and today I bring you the special congregation of honor to His Majesty Nana Otumfuo Osei Tutu of the Asantehene Kingdom. He made his visit to University of Cape Coast, which is commonly known to people as UCC in the Central Region, and he was there to honor the University of Cape Coast was there to honor His Royal Majesty Nana Otumfuo Osei Tutu. And you see the entrance he made, the crowd, the media, the number of people around there, and it was mind-blowing. He really is the king of the Asante Empire. He really owns so much. And as you can see, he's making his entrance to the hall for his citation and for Naba's body. Yeah, looking at him, he's a great man. Charlie, the guy he's got an entrance. Wow. Look at the number of crowd. There. Like, he's so amazing. So amazing. Charlie, we gotta keep it going. This is culture. Wow. Culture. I thought people have forgotten our culture and stuff, but I can see that it really lives in Ashanti Kingdom. And this man is a man of great personality, and he's the Chancellor for KNUST, Kwame Nkrumah University of the Science and Technology, also in Kumasi, one of the best schools or best universities in Ghana right now. And you can see the professors are also making their entrance today to receive the honor of congregation. And this is what we are here to talk. Today we are not here to talk, we are here to see how things are going to go about. And you can see as they are making their entrance, you can see they made their entrance to the hall, and there are so many people waiting for him to arrive. People are there because of the kind of man he is. Because he's very respected when you come to Ghana. He's a very big man, and not just like he's a personality that people looks up to him. And looking at his entrance, wow, it's very, very perfect. Very, very perfect, guys. Wow, look at the way they are smiling. Wow. It's a man. Look at the culture, the sound, the front on from. The trump, oh God, it's really, really amazing. That is culture. Culture it is. Wow. And as you can see, there are so many people. Wow. He's really got a lot of followers. Yeah, that's what we do. That's what gets you more interested. People more interested when you've got someone that you look up to. And looking at it, yeah, the vice provost or the provost of University of Cape Coast was invited to give the citation in honor to be able to honor Nana Otumfuo Osei Tutu for the good work he's done for education, the proper way of making education better and better for Ghana. That's why they are there to honor him. And looking at the standing ovation, yeah, a respected man. He just stand out, like he just stood up to receive his citation so that he can have a perfect moment. Wow, His Royal Majesty Nana Otumfuo Osei Tutu II of Ashanti Kingdom. Wow, they've really got someone. Someone very, very better. Someone amazing. Wow.
Of 5 children,
and looking at it, yeah, the citation begins. So,
Asantehene, Queen Mother of Asante, from 1977 to 2016. a direct descendant of the founder of the Asante Kingdom, Osei Tutu I, you ascended the golden stool on 26 April 1999 as the 16th Asantehene. From early childhood,
Yeah, he really is the man.
Came under
the man of the moment.
Of your uncle, Oheneba Mensa Bonsu, who saw to your childhood development through careful grooming in Asante tradition and statecraft. In 1964, you started your elementary education. Your secondary school education took you to the Hurioso Secondary School in the Western North region of Ghana. But you returned to Kumasi in 1969 and enrolled at the Osei Tutu II Secondary School. In 1971, you moved to Accra to continue your education at the Institute of Professional Studies, Lagos, for a course in accountancy.
Yeah.
2 years later, you journeyed to the United Kingdom to continue with your accountancy studies at the Kingston Polytechnic. Later, you attended the University of North London, where you studied human resource development and public administration. Your Majesty, you returned to Ghana in 1989 to establish your own business, Transport International, Ghana Limited. Your international exposure paved the way for you to gather a wealth of experience as senior consultant with Mutual of Omaha Insurance Company of Toronto between 1981 and 1985. Finance officer at the British firm Oxon, London, and as personnel administrator at the Manpower Services Commission attached to Brent Council in London. Your natural gift of calm and radiance inspires loyalty and serves as a motivation for those around you. Your diplomacy and tact among your peers is easily recognizable and complements your traditional leadership qualities towards reconciliation. In 2012, you demonstrated your love for peace and democracy by convincing leaders of the various political parties in Ghana to sign a pledge to ensure peace before, during, and after Ghana's presidential and parliamentary elections. You also embarked on a historic trip to Seychelles Island, where one of your predecessors, Prempeh I, was exiled to by the British for resisting their imperialism during his reign. To encourage religious dialogue, you addressed the Chatham House in the United Kingdom on the need for a forum for dialogue among the various religions and proposed the creation of a forum akin to the World Economic Forum for the pursuit of such a dialogue. Among many plaudits, Your Majesty, you stand out as an astute statesman with high pedigree in the foundation of cooperation in both traditional and modern trends. You have initiated projects that have put your traditional leaders into a new learning process that enables them to lead their people in community development programs, as well as create awareness of the value of our cultural heritage, including art and artifacts, as well as the traditional court systems in conflict resolution. Your Majesty, the unique brand of your leadership has endeared you to Asante in particular and Ghana as a whole. As Asantehene, you have instilled peace and stability in your governance style among your people, as well as encourage them to pursue arbitration instead of litigation, especially in numerous land and succession disputes that had plagued Asanteman for decades. Over the period of your reign as Asantehene, you have brought peace and reconciliation to Asante. Your ability to settle over 500 land and chieftaincy disputes, which could have sparked agitations among your people and elsewhere, is commendable. You remain one of Ghana's most sought-after leaders in traditional matters. As a traditional leader, your leadership and negotiation skills came to the fore when the state, recognizing the respect that you exude, made you the arbiter of peace in Dagon and appointed you chairman of a committee of eminent chiefs to resolve the Yendi skin affairs, a task you successfully accomplished to the admiration of all, including the feuding parties. In recognition of your immense knowledge and contribution to education, government appointed you Chancellor of the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Kumasi. You also stand out as one with vision and tenacity of purpose in health and economic development. Among other things, you have taken a number of initiatives to the benefit of many a people. Some of these include the Otumfuo Education Fund to generate resources as an effort to provide opportunities for quality primary, secondary, tertiary, and vocational education in Asante and Ghana as a whole. In 2000, you embarked upon a vigorous campaign to draw attention to the benefits of individual and group sponsorship of the education of orphaned children. Since its inception, the Otumfuo Education Fund has benefited over 100,000 students at various levels of education. The merger of the above foundations under one umbrella of the Otumfuo Osei Tutu II Charity Foundation, whose mandate appears unrestricted and currently doing remarkably well in the areas of supporting people in different spheres of endeavor. A health fund established to pursue basic healthcare plan with clear objectives that include financial and material support for the reduction of maternal and infant mortality, glaucoma, and other eye diseases, Buruli ulcer, which has become the bane of many rural dwellers in the country, as well as the eradication of the guinea worm disease. Supporting the Rotary Club's campaign to promote inoculation of children against the 6 killer diseases, including polio. In recognition of your contribution to education in Ghana, the Association of Commonwealth Universities conferred on you the Simmons Award in April 2000. You have as well received honorary doctorate degrees from Essex County College, Newark, USA, 22nd May 2001. University of Maryland, Eastern Shore, USA, 25th May 2001. Savannah State University, USA, 6th June 2001. University of Glasgow, Scotland, June 2001. Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, 15 December 2001. University of Ghana, Legon, 12 March 2004. Igbinidon University, Okada, Nigeria, 25th November 2007. Metropolitan University, London, 10 December 2007. And University of East London, 3rd September 2018. As part of your efforts towards promoting partnership with traditional authorities, you secured a World Bank grant with the approval of the government of Ghana for a pilot project entitled Promoting Partnership with Traditional Authorities Project. This singular initiative has challenged traditional leaders to demonstrate their capacity by using their own resources to augment the financial support made available by either the government or the World Bank to help develop their respective communities. Under the project, new school buildings have been built, old ones rehabilitated, and teachers' residential quarters constructed and provided with potable water and electricity. HIV/AIDS and general health campaign in cooperation with the state agencies has been stepped up in the rural areas too. Your Majesty, you have drawn to yourself many world leaders, including being the guest and host of Queen Elizabeth II of Great Britain, Queen Beatrice of Holland, His Excellency Busumuru Kofi Annan, former UN Secretary General, President Thabo Mbeki of South Africa, President Nelson Mandela of South Africa, Mr. Don McKinnon, Commonwealth Secretary General, the President of Ethiopia, the Holy Father Pope Francis, the Archbishop of Canterbury, Right Reverend Justin Welby, President Alhaji Tilankaba of Sierra Leone, President Muammar al-Gaddafi of Libya, King Mohammed VI of Morocco, President Horst Kohler of Germany, President Jakaya Mshikiwete of Tanzania, King Mswati III of Swaziland, Alpha Konari of Mali, Blaise Compaoré of Burkina Faso, Laurent Gbagbo of Côte d'Ivoire, Messrs. David Wolfowitz and James Wolfson, both former presidents of the World Bank, Prince Al-Wahid bin Talal bin Abdul Aziz Al Saud of Saudi Arabia, His Royal Highness Prince William Alexander of Netherlands, head of Worldwide Ahmadiyya Muslim Mission, the Archbishop of Canterbury, King of Bafokeng of South Africa, President Levi Patrick Mwanawasa of Zambia, Sabasaj Roland Muwenda Mutebi II, the Kabaka of Buganda in Uganda, Mr. Nkapa, former President of Tanzania, and Princess Mahan Chakri Sidhun, Crown Princess of Thailand. Your Majesty, you have the privilege of addressing international and national fora and a number of business gatherings in Africa, Europe, and the United States. These include the International Cocoa Organization, London, the plenary session of the Economic Commission of Africa, Addis Ababa, the Distinguished Africa Address at Harvard University, the United Nations General Assembly High-Level Forum on a Culture of Peace in New York as keynote speaker on 30 September 2019, bilateral talk with the President of the World Bank Group, Mr. David Malpass, in Washington. Additionally, you address students at the China Foreign Affairs University in China at the invitation of Chinese People's Association for Friendship with Foreign Countries and the African Forum for Heads of State, hosted by the President of Germany. Your Majesty, you also visited the International Tribunal for Rwanda, where you had discussions with members of the tribunal and exchanged ideas on alternative conflict resolution in Africa. Your Majesty, you established the Asantehene Economic Revitalization Plan to promote private and corporate investment in local industries, reforestation, and irrigation program. Your reign as Asantehene has seen rapid growth and development of Asantehene and its environs in health, education, agriculture, and business. The unity of purpose and discipline among your subjects is an admirable trait of a wise leader. Your Majesty, Otumfuo Osei Tutu II, the University of Cape Coast salutes you for your meritorious and distinguished service to the nation, especially your commitment to promoting unity and development in Asantehene and other regions, as well as your significant contribution to humanity in the areas of water and sanitation, health, education, entrepreneurship, culture, and heritage. Purveyor of traditional jurisprudence, advocate of rule of law, promoter of peace and stability, visionary and generational thinker, entrepreneur, advocate for preservation of culture and heritage, statesman, distinguished traditional leader and role model. Please step forward to receive your degree of Doctor of Letters, honoris causa.
Yeah, so as you can see, yeah, they are now giving him his title, yeah, to wear. Now he's got a gown. Now they are honoring him so that we go and he will give some part of the speeches talking about education. Obama speech about education, on how education is benefit and how we need equipment on how to improve on our education system. This is what he's here to do. And looking at him, God, I'm really very interested in. So as you can see, the guy is amazing. Just appreciate. And they are not just lying. When you go to University of let me say KNUST, the guy has really done an amazing job there. And he really deserves it. He deserves it. And really deserves it. His education, and he's very, very much into education. He doesn't think far this way. Yeah. He's very fluent too, as you can see. The way he flows. Amazing. Yeah, now he's on stage and now you can see kind of crowd. The noise. Wow. They applaud. That's what to do for something, for someone who is very great. Look at the way people are happy to hear just the name of Otumfuo Osei Tutu II of the great Asantehene kingdom. He's really, really, really amazing. And guys, let the front on front. People singing and praising him.
Wasaji fogu nyagwasyo kwa Asantehene kasangen.
Wasaji fogu nyagwasyo kwa Asantehene kasangen.
Koto kwa hini kase kwa biaine kasangen.
Koto kwa hini kase kwa biaine kasangen.
Mema kwa bia irifia ngomane koto kungen.
Mema kwa bia irifia ngomane koto kungen.
Asantehene chantro chmo champon nufringen.
Asantehene chantro chmo champon nufringen.
Asantehene siyesebo sumandite.
Asantehene siyesebo sumandite.
Robia Asantehene kasangen.
Robia Asantehene kasangen.
Osei Tutu memo di nwa visio.
Sechiche mi modi nya visio.
Why never nyasa juso supani ni akwaba kuma sika poba no.
Why never nyasa juso supani ni akwaba kuma sika poba no.
Obi nyasa bianko bebi.
Obi nyasa bianko bebi.
Amen no tedi feba dem lefe kasangen.
Amen no tedi feba dem lefe kasangen.
Chewani to fumo nungen.
Chewani to fumo nungen.
Oda fruda de ochmo champon nufringen.
Oda fruda de ochmo champon nufringen.
O so ni krobyo sumantite.
O so ni kroyo sumantite.
Jakwa jale na dia se dingen.
Jakwa jale na dia se dingen.
Ekusi bi okumlochmo champon nufringen.
Ekusi bi okumlochmo champon nufringen.
Jakwa office ye frampo damli favisi.
Jakwa office ye frampo damli favisi.
Osei Tutu memo di nwa visio.
Osei Tutu memo di nwa visio.
Why ne benya second chrebu achi dankwa ne se wampim sika baba no.
Why ne benya second chrebu achi dankwa ne se wampim sika poba no.
Obi nya se bianko baby.
Obi nya se bianko baby.
Osei Tutu memo di nwa visio.
Osei Tutu memo di nwa visio.
Wona na musuma nkabom empuntuo enkoso ba Asantehene ne Ghana manyina.
Wona na musuma empuntuo enkoso ba Ghana ni Asantehene mu.
Obi nya se bianko baby.
Obi Obinya Sebianko baby.
Black boy bakana ne frampo demni ferisi.
Black boy bakana ne frampo demni ferisi.
Me man jabendo da kwa yadungen.
Me man jabendo da kwa yadungen.
Yadom na ne dia ko bojo jo ta touch mo champon fungen.
Yadom na ne dia ko bojo jo ta touch mo champon fungen.
O to sika sama na jija kungen.
O to sika sama na jija kungen.
Jakwe bo ban ko nyom flower.
E jakwe bo ban ko nyom flower.
Hey flower frampo demni fa o.
Ina flower frampo demni fa o.
O pokwa mi mo di nwa visio.
O pokwa mi mo di nwa visio.
Why ne benya se jacho poku pa ni e che ri kwa ba no.
Why ne benya se jacho poku pa ni e che ri kwa ba no.
Binya se bianko baby.
O binya se bianko baby.
O saji fogu nyagwa singen.
O saji fogu nyagwa singen.
Ukra santina je kasangen.
Ukra santina je kasangen.
Wo krube da to baba de me fagu nyagwa sa jumna chemera.
My brother Chancellor, I hope you would.
Wow, he deserves it. He deserves it. This and many more.
Going through what you
wow. Now he makes his speech.
Let me express my profound gratitude to the Chancellor, Chair and members of Council of this great institution for the honor bestowed on me this morning. It is an honor I accept with humility and proudly share with Nananum, whose joint efforts have contributed to everything we have achieved in the 25 years of our reign.
Looking at it, Charlie, it's really amazing. So guys, now you can see through his speech, through his speech, you could understand that he said the first person to bring about education into our country was, and the visionary to, like as you can hear from him, he said the visionary late president is as you can see, yeah, so as you can hear from him, he's talking about our late president and late former president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Yeah, he was very visionary, like he had a vision on education and solely on how to educate our children, how to make our education system better so that we can benefit in the near future, so that we could have a better leaders, a better environment, and a better way of living in this society. And this guy really had a vision, and through that he is also able to continue with the equipment. We need equipment, we need leaders who are going to support. See, as you can see, some leaders came and they brought about free SHS, and which really also helped a lot. And he talked so much more about education because that's what he's there to be honored about. And I give him an applaud. This was is really happening at the University of Cape Coast. Alright guys, this is where we end, and as you can see, it was a very nice moment we spent together. Subscribe to Zion Radio GH, like, share and comment so that any training issues, any moves or information that we get, we bring to you on this platform. Bye bye.
In a special relationship with the University of Ghana, Lagos, with the prime mandate of producing graduate teachers to meet the manpower needs of the Ghana Education Service. It seems unbelievable today to recall that its total enrollment as at that time was 155 students, split between two departments, the Department of Science and the Arts. And the whole concept was deemed controversial in some circles. However, it survived the political upheavals of the period, and in 1971, it attained the status of a fully fledged university with the right to grant its own degrees. The mandate of the university was expanded beyond the needs of education, and today it is a burgeoning community of over 75,000 students from all disciplines. The founding fathers and their pioneering administrators have every reason to be proud of what they have bequeathed to the nation. And long may we continue to herald the achievements of this university. But even as we exalt these achievements and honor those whose hard work has made it possible, we cannot but pause and reflect on the fates and fortunes of the single subject for which this university was created, and I speak of education. It remains quite problematic to me that 60 years down the line, we are still grappling with the same challenges that informed the decision to establish this university in the first place. Some historical background may be appropriate here. Although the Gold Coast carried the tag of a model colony, less than 10% of our population had been to school by 1951, when the people were allowed to elect the first nationalist government led by Dr. Kwame Nkrumah under the limited self-rule mandate. The government took the view that education was the key to the development of the country, and consequently launched the accelerated education program to accelerate the pace and level of education. Additionally, a program of adult education was launched to drive the home mass literacy. In 1951, total enrollment in primary schools was 154,000, middle schools 66,000, secondary and technical schools 3,550, teacher training colleges 1,916. The total enrollment of the University College, the forerunner of the University of Ghana, Legon, was 208 students. By 1961, enrollment had zoomed to over 210% for primary schools, 142% for middle schools, a staggering 438% for secondary and technical schools, 137% for teacher training, and an astonishing 478% for universities. It is important to note that The bulk of this expansion was funded by the state. Indeed, even the churches, which had been carrying the financial burden of education at the height of the colonial administration, were required to gradually disengage. Following the overthrow of the First Republic, the eminent scholar Professor Alex Kwapong headed a commission to undertake the first of what has become a seemingly unending series of reforms of the education system. The Kwapong Committee recommended the adoption of 6 years of primary school followed by 4 years of secondary education with 2 years of advanced certificate leading to a 3-year university course. Less than 4 years after the Kwapong reforms, another military coup led to the establishment of another committee, this time led by the Dean of the Faculty of Education of this university, Professor N.K. Zobo, to review the reform. The Professor Zobo Committee made social equity a fundamental thrust in the delivery of sound educational outcomes, arguing against the common entrance examination for the selection of pupils for secondary schools, as skewed in favor of children of the elite in society. Specifically, it recommended a new system which retained the 6-year primary school system, but split the secondary system into 3 years of junior high school and 2 years of senior secondary school lower division and 2 years of senior secondary upper division. The Zobo report formed the basis for the far-reaching reforms of 1987. In preparing for the restoration of constitutional rule in 1992, the Republican Constitution provided for free compulsory education for all children of school age within 10 years. The new government led by Flight Lieutenant Rawlins's government launched a program of free compulsory universal education in 1996. In a seminal study for the British Department of International Development, Nimoy Thompson and Leslie Casireford observed in 2008, broadly, the objectives of FQ were in line with the recommendations of the World Declaration on Education for All, adopted after the World Bank UN-sponsored World Conference on Education for All in Thailand in 1990. The declaration stated that every person, child, youth, and adult shall be able to benefit from educational opportunities designed to meet their basic learning needs, and all countries were required to achieve universal basic education by the year 2000. The rollout of FQ was followed by a National Education Forum in November 1999 to examine the prospects of Ghana moving towards compliance with the World Declaration on Education for All. Barely 2 or 3 years after, in 2002, another education sector review was undertaken to examine the outcome. Since then, every government has undertaken a serious review of education system. The troubling fact, however, is that each review has either been driven by austerity or constrained by fiscal malice and not necessarily by the desire to achieve their stated goals. So we've had to live constantly with the contradiction between governments holding education as a high priority only for education to become the first casualty of any fiscal downturn. Against such background, the mixed response to the recent free senior high school scheme has not been a surprise. The Minister of Education here will want to do more, but he doesn't have adequate funds to do what he wants to do. There's no doubt that the free senior high school program is the most audacious piece of social intervention in our Fourth Republic. The pre-independence program for free education covered primary education and later the university. The secondary sector was beyond the capacity of the state. None of the reforms since had dared move the dial through that space. The decision to take the plunge, therefore, had to be truly ambitious, and it is no wonder it has kept education at the top of national discourse. There is undoubted merit in the government argument that if we are preparing our children to compete in the global economy of today, then they should be entitled to the same level of basic education as children in other climates. Since basic education elsewhere encompasses secondary or high schools, it's only fair that we also upgrade our basic education. In that sense, Therefore, offering free senior high school is doing no more than meeting the obligation to provide the basic education for all. It is not only in Ghana that this becomes relevant. In a background paper prepared for the International Commission on Financing Global Education Opportunity, Shakira Mustafa and Phillips Crowns noted with reference to primary schools products. The completion of primary school is no guarantee that children have acquired basic academic skills. Surveys in a number of low-income countries document that many adults who have received some schooling 5 or 6 years or less are functionally illiterate or enumerate. That is an experience Ghana identifies with, and it buttresses the case for upscaling basic education. But this cannot be that simple. It only underscores the enormity of the challenge associated with the changing dynamics of education and nation building in our times. Ghanaians accept education as a basic right of every child. All nations signed up through the United Nations and its agencies to provide basic education for all. In Africa, education is deemed so critical, the African Union has declared the year of this year the African Year of Education. In Ghana, it has been part of the objective of every government from as far apart as the nationalist government of limited self-rule in 1951. We see it not just as a human right, it is an economic necessity, an investment in the economic and social well-being of every nation. In the background paper already cited, the authors made the point that when any child fails to acquire basic skills needed to function as a productive, responsible member of society, society as a whole, not to mention the individual child, loses. The cost of educating children is far outweighed by the cost of not educating them. Yet, though the cost of not providing education would ultimately be higher, nations have to contend in the first place with the overriding problem of mobilizing the resources needed to invest in education. Without the resources, even our most desirable goals cannot be achieved, and that sadly has been the problem not only for Ghana but for Africa. It is the reason we are obliged to make sure that our ambitions are matched by our pockets. As we have already noted, every educational reform undertaken in Ghana has been driven by financial constraints arising from national economic malice. Whereas in the developed world, educational reforms are undertaken to ensure the content of education matches the economic and social needs of society. Here we are driven solely by what is available to spend in the fiscal space. It is for this reason that even an audacious scheme like the free senior high school, as I've mentioned, which one would expect to receive universal acclamation, has instead been mired in some controversy, with some blaming it for exacerbating the fiscal malice of the economy. And yet, even with that program, Ghana has yet to reach the universal benchmark for national spending on education as a percentage of gross domestic product. In the latest UNESCO World Education Finance Watch Report of 2024, the scorecard which monitors progress towards achieving the universal benchmark for spending on education showed that overall, only the high-income countries are more likely to be classified as either having achieved or having a high probability of 75% of achieving the 2025 benchmark for spending on education. The good news for us, however, is that Ghana is one of the only 15 developing countries confirmed as being on track to reach the benchmark in 2025. In effect, assuming the current program continues, we should meet the universal benchmark for spending on education to GDP. That certainly should be welcome. But if the focus is on the rebalancing of resources, the effect may well stir up more heat than light. Every dramatic increase in enrollment affects the physical resources and infrastructure of schools, affects learning materials, and above all, requires a corresponding increase in the number of qualified teachers. Beyond these, as we have experienced more than once in the past 2 decades, Every expansion at the secondary level has a huge impact on the tertiary sector. And yet, at no time have we seen an attempt to coordinate the implementation of any secondary sector reform with the universities. When at a stroke, enrollment in senior high schools are doubled, the universities have to brace themselves for an inevitable surge in demand for undergraduate studies with no prior consideration for its effect on fiscal resources. Our universities are already bursting at the seams, with rising student population virtually overwhelming fiscal resources and infrastructure. It should be obvious that important as the senior high school may be, focus on it should not lead to a misalignment of resources, nor should it become the focus of all attention in national discourse. Rather, we should recognize the necessity to look at the challenge of education in its totality. First, we may do well to re-examine the structure of the education system from primary to secondary to tertiary education. Is the separation between junior and senior high school working? What has become of the products of junior high school who are unable to proceed to senior high school? How functional have the vocational institute become? How relevant have they been in the job market? Is the system providing for the critical middle level needs as we expected the polytechnic and technical universities to provide? Secondly, we need another look critically at the financing of education. What resources are available and how they are allocated to the various levels to ensure equity. This is at the root of all the discourse. Education is an expensive investment. The expenditure on buildings alone is huge, but buildings alone do not provide education. Learning and teaching materials must be available. In the 21st century, there should be no school without computers, without the means to provide the basic ICT skills. And we should ensure our teachers are reasonably remunerated for the critical service they provide. Thirdly, we need to reappraise the content of education from pre-tertiary to tertiary to see how far they go to meet the needs of the economy and society in this fast-changing world. There are many areas of the system crying for updating and many anomalies requiring correction. The ongoing prioritizing of STEM education is a step in the right direction, but it is necessary to caution about the risk of restricting it to an elite class and leaving the broader system with no knowledge of these critical skills. For the sake of equity, we should ensure equal opportunities for all to acquire these vital skills in their education journey. Education must lead the nation's response to the incredible challenges of climate change. If we are to fully appreciate the gravity of the threat to our planet and come to terms with what needs to be done to obviate the consequences, our education system must infuse in us, from the pre-primary stage to the tertiary, the science and the knowledge which should guide our actions. It is the only way we are going to make it possible for our communities to appreciate the necessity to protect our forests and our river bodies and restore the respect which our forefathers had for their environment. We need to reflect seriously on how we refocus education to guide us towards a sustainable world. I'm sure this audience will share the need for considerable reappraisals at the tertiary level to ensure our universities are fully aligned to the needs of society. It is right for the nation that we seek to maintain high standards in our universities, but it will be astonishing to demand higher entry requirements for some courses than the renowned Ivy League and Oxbridge universities in the United States and Europe. I find it incomprehensible that we have deliberately capped the number of students our universities should admit for medicine and law, even though we have a huge vacancy of doctors and a burgeoning number of students who have met all the qualifying standards. We have the absurd situation in which parents of Ghanaian students have to find foreign exchange to send their children to Europe and other places to study medicine abroad, and then return to be employed by the Ghana Health Service. Assuming there are some impediments in the way of increasing the intake of students, would it not make more sense to remove those impediments to allow for all qualified students to gain admission and perhaps offer space for foreign students who will pay us in foreign currency? Beyond these key professions, it remains a sore issue whether our education system is producing the skills set needed to keep business and industry moving. But however we may try within the educational establishment to refocus education, it will be to no avail unless we can get the national economy into good shape. It remains incontrovertible that only the state can deliver the resources needed to achieve the goal of education for all. And only a strong, resilient, and sustainable economy can generate the needed resources. Because education is so critical for the state and the state is correspondingly critical for education, I see the need for a special kind of relationship between the state and the education establishment. Mr. Chancellor, Chair, you will be aware that we made education the focus of our reign when we ascended the Golden Stool 25 years ago. As a concrete expression of our commitment, we established our education fund, which has become an example of the support that education can derive from non-state actors. I've also had the privilege to be the Chancellor of Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. As Chancellor, by the way, I was appointed by the university, not the government. As Chancellor, I've had the task of lending support to the university establishment as it struggles to obtain the resources they need in pursuit of their goals, while through the Education Fund, we have tried to demonstrate what non-state actors within the community can do to generate resources to support education. Combining the role of both the mobilizer and consumer of educational resources has given me a perspective from which to ponder some troubling questions. Is education delivering the goals and objectives for Ghana? Has education delivered the intended outcomes? Has education justified the sacrifices that are demanded of the people? Has Ghana education been truly fit for purpose? If these questions come as a shock to the nation, and probably more so to this audience, it can only be because we have avoided the need for continuous critical evaluation of the outcome of our investments, not only in education but in several other spheres. Regardless of the lapses and shortfalls, it is incontrovertible that as a nation, Ghana has invested enormous resources in education. The explosion in tertiary education has produced a multitude of highly educated men and women with the skills set to manage and direct the affairs of the nation. In every sector of our society, our affairs are in the hands of actors who are not just educated but highly qualified. Our political class, at both executive and the legislative levels, with responsibility for policy formulation and direction, is led and dominated by men and women who are highly educated. We have a judiciary service which is very highly educated. But my lady Barbara, our banks and insurance services are highly educated. Our civil service is highly educated. Our customs and internal revenue service actors are very highly educated. Our police and security services are highly educated. Our military is highly educated. Logically, you would expect this output of highly educated leaders to translate into greater efficiency in the management of our affairs, particularly in the management of the national economy. So when I hear the endless lamentations about our economy is in distress, when I see our legislature in gridlock, unable to agree on issues of national interest, when I'm told about the decline in public confidence in law enforcement, I can't help asking myself, is that what education can deliver for all our investment and all our sacrifices? We should not forget that financing education has required enormous sacrifices. Through the worst of economic circumstances, the state has been obliged to devote a considerable percentage of our tax revenue to education. Ironically, the bulk of this revenue will come from farmers, some of whom are the least educated and probably the poorer section of society. So we have the incongruous situation of the poor financing the education of the rich,
Zoom.
Finally, we have the personal sacrifices parents make in the education of their wards.
Zoom.
All these sacrifices are justified as investments in the future well-being of their wards and society as a whole.
Zoom.
But if the outcome of education is to produce an army of skilled and able young men and women who cannot find jobs to aptly apply their acquired skills, and if continually we are confronted with questions about competency in the management of our resources,
Zoom.
how can we respond to anyone who questions the ultimate value we place in education?
Zoom.
By raising the question, we do not seek to cast doubt on the value of education per se. We are rather prodding the nation, and particularly academia, to be alive to the necessity of undertaking a rigorous evaluation of the outcome of education relative to the benefits accruing to the nation, to give us the tools to correct any lapses before public confidence is eroded.
Zoom.
In fact, the situation we face reinforces the need for a special relationship between academia and the state.
Zoom.
There was a period in our history during the First Republic when academia was deemed to be closeted in an ivory tower, a distance away from the real world. That is no longer an issue. You are as integrated into society and in tune with its pulse as it is possible to be.
Zoom.
You are the teachers who are preparing and mentoring the men and women who are taking control of our lives as political leaders, judges, economists, bankers, mandarins, diplomats, military and police officers. As teachers, you are like parents who should have a lifetime interest in the performance of your students.
Zoom.
As their success inspires you, so their failure should burden you.
Zoom.
Beyond the personal relationship between teacher and student, there's an even greater linkage that needs to be strengthened. The university is the storehouse of knowledge. All the knowledge required for nation building. More than the storehouse of knowledge, a university is the laboratory for research, cultivation and discovery of answers to the social, physical needs of society. You will all be aware of how much the works of universities have informed policies that have shaped countries and have revolutionized society.
Zoom.
Countries and societies through time.
Zoom.
Much of the scientific and other discoveries that have revolutionized society owe their roots to the universities and to the collaboration between universities and either the state or private business.
Zoom.
Unfortunately, in our country, there's hardly any evidence of the meaningful collaboration that needs to exist between the state and the universities. Perhaps one reason the role of academia has been downplayed is that we have allowed the abrasive political divisions to permeate our sacred campuses
Zoom.
and turn them into battlegrounds for partisan combat instead of havens for imbibing and dispensing knowledge.
Zoom.
It is time, in my view, for all of us to wake up to the negative impact this has caused and make an effort to reverse the situation.
Zoom.
We can begin fashioning a new relationship between state and academia that engages the expertise of academia in the process of policy formulation on a continuous basis.
Zoom.
I have no doubt about how beneficial it will be for the country to create a unique quadrangle of experts from academia, business leaders, traditional leaders, and government, tasked to address the seemingly intractable problems of the economy.
Zoom.
This could be the beginning of continuous collaboration between academia, the state, and captains of business in finding solutions to many of our social problems.
Zoom.
For this to happen, however, we will need academia to wean itself of gross partisanship and cultivate and enshrine a culture of rigorous objectivity.
Zoom.
This should allow the universities, as a collective responsibility, to establish the right mechanism for rigorous continuous evaluation of the performance of national institutions and help inject some efficiency into the system.
Zoom.
To help us inspire a new era in which the achievement of measurable national goals take precedence over the pursuit of personal gains.
Zoom.
With an environment in which the state can reach out across party boundaries to draw on the patriotic service of its experts without attracting unwelcome labels.
Zoom.
The good thing is that there's more than a silver lining ahead. Ghana remains one country in whom nobody can afford to lose confidence.
Zoom.
Given the combined human and natural resources at our disposal, and the heritage from which we have grown, we will only fail if we want to. And I don't believe there's any Ghanaian who contemplates failure anytime. Let's hope then that we will not give in to any doctrine of despair, but rise with the challenge to herald a new era for Ghana. Thank you, UCC, for the honor, and let's forge ever forward to glorious future. Thank you.
Your Royal Majesty, you would take the alumni oath, and this would be administered by the National President of the UCC Alumni Association. I'll call on Mr. Sam Akoto-Danso to do as the Yanis, whilst His Royal Majesty takes the alumni oath.
Sir Chancellor, may I humbly pray your leave to stand on the protocol so established as I administer the alumni oath. Your Royal Majesty Otumfuo Dr. Osei Tutu II, on behalf of the University of Cape Coast Alumni Association, I deem it such a great honor to congratulate you on this feat, so added to your enormous achievements. We are indeed proud and honored to welcome you into the alumni fraternity. Your Royal Majesty, today you have become an alumnus of not just any university, but the #1 university in Ghana, the #1 in West Africa, and the #7 in the whole of Africa. You have every right to pride yourself in this. I know our friends from KNUST and others will not be happy, but it is what it is. UCC is the #1. Your Royal Majesty, you have also become an alumnus in a very good time, because next month, the Alumni Association is planning to launch the UCC Alumni Scholarship Scheme for Student Support. Initially, our target was 2 million cedis, but today we have changed our mind. Our new target is 3 million cedis. Your Royal Majesty, that goes to say that the extra 1 million is solely yours. If you have your checkbook here, you can write it, or we come to Menchia. We'll talk about that. Please, let's take the alumni oath, Your Royal Majesty. So when I say I, you mention your name, then we take it from there. So I,
Otumfuo Osei Tutu II,
do solemnly pledge.
Do solemnly pledge.
To fulfill my duties.
To fulfill my duties.
As an alumnus of the University of Cape Coast.
As an alumnus of the University of Cape Coast.
I pledge to use my knowledge.
I pledge to use my knowledge.
Skills and experiences.
Skills and experiences.
To the best of my ability.
To the best of my ability.
For the advancement of learning.
For the advancement of learning.
And for the well-being.
And for the well-being.
Of my community and country.
For my community and country.
I promise to be a loyal ambassador.
I promise to be a loyal ambassador.
For my university.
For my university.
To promote her welfare.
To promote her welfare.
And maintain her reputation.
And maintain her reputation.
I will endeavor in all my dealings.
I will endeavor in all my dealings.
To be known as a person of honor.
To be known as a person of honor.
And repute.
And repute.
To bring respect to my alma mater.
To bring respect to my alma mater.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Otumfuo.
looking at it. It's really amazing. So guys, now you can see through his speech, through his speech, you could understand that he said the first person to bring about education into our country was, and the visionary late to like as you can hear from him, he said the visionary late president is the, as you can see, so as you can hear from him, he's talking about our late president and late former president, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Yeah, he was very visionary. Like, he had a vision on education and solely on how to educate our children, how to make our education system better so that we can benefit in the near future, so that we could have a better leaders, a better environment, and a better way of living in this society. And this guy really had a vision, and through that he's also able to continue with the equipment. We need equipment, we need leaders who are going to support. See, as you can see, some leaders came and they brought about free SHS, and which really also helped a lot. And he talked so much more about education because that's what he's there to be honored about. And I give him an applaud. This is what is really happening at the University of Cape Coast. All right, guys, this is where we end. And as you can see, it was a very nice moment we spent together. Subscribe to Zion Radio GH, like, share, and comment so that any training issues, any moves or information that we get, we bring to you on this platform. Bye-bye.
ZionRadio.gh, where trends unravel.